Hey, how's it going, dudes? Adam here with another Fallout 4 mod video. If you find this video helpful, it would be much appreciated if you subscribe and leave a like, as it helps grow the channel. Now let's begin. Starting off, we're taking a look at Better Goodneighbor, made by the talented Mika999, who is also working on Fallout Miami. There's actually a whole series of better location mods, but for the sake of the video's redundancy, I'm only showcasing one. And it does exactly what you think it will do. It makes Goodneighbor go from a very characterless area to a place that truly feels like it's run by anarchists and hippies as it's supposed to be in the game. Right off the bat, the once vacant entrance now has a small stage with an Institute Gen 1 synth where you can throw tomatoes at it, which makes sense since canon-wise, Goodneighbor hates the Institute. There's also a coin in the Cup Magician off to the side before making your way into the street of Goodneighbor. A once vacant area now has tables, and even a bank that is cleverly placed in the blown out side of a building. There's a unique riot car, which is just a dark blue APC with a police badge on it, and there is lots of graffiti all over the place. There are several traders lined up on the street attempting to sell their goods. It just adds so much atmosphere to the place, and really feels like people are doing more than just standing around. This is what it truly means when it just works. Todd Howard, you better be taking notes right now. I was surprised by the number of new things to look at. There's even a vendor with a glowing one in a cage to poke for a fee, which I thought was creative. Moving on, we're taking a look at the home of the Brotherhood of Steel, otherwise known as the Boston Airport. In the vanilla game, it was alright, but I still felt like it wasn't completely as fortified as it should have been, considering they are the closest thing to the military in Boston. Now, there is a mod in the Better series from Mika that tries to replicate some of the game design art, but you have to complete all of the quests, and also I'm siding with the Institute. Yeah, fight me. So, this will have to do. Boston Airport Redux is a fairly simplistic mod. It's meant to make the HQ of the Brotherhood slightly more intimidating than its vanilla counterpart. It adds 15 soldiers in power armor, 5 sentry bots, several barricades, and also a vertibird so you can travel to the Cambridge police station and back to the Pridwin, which only makes sense. It also utilizes the roof of the parking garage, which is a smart use of space to have as high ground. Overall, it takes a minimalistic approach, adding just enough defenses to make it look realistic and also not send your FPS into a downward spiral of oblivion. I always thought the music in Fallout was amazing, but after playing it for so long, I can't help but feel bored by the same soundtrack over and over. Faded Glory looks to and successfully fixes that. The author decided to keep the original score in, so that way you have a blend of the original and his own compositions. And I noticed right away just how much of a difference music can really make. Take a listen. I always save the best for last, and I always thought that Bethesda was fairly lazy when designing Fallout 4's world. It didn't make sense to me how Concord was a ghost town, and Vault 111 showed barely any detail. Did everyone just stay home for the apocalypse? Well, with Project Apocalyptic Commonwealth, you'll realize just how barren the vanilla game was, and you might not want to switch back unless your computer makes you. The author's intention is to cover as much of the world's locations as possible, with new details one at a time on his own. I mean, seriously, has someone not hired this man already? You won't even have to take a closer look to tell what has changed. There was lots of missing content, like the fact that the husband and wife, arguing over the suitcase in the introduction, never appeared to be anywhere when you exited the vault, as they seemingly vanished unlike those outside the gate. Now, in 200 years, a lot can happen, but it makes more sense that their skeletons would lay where they once stood. And also, the military APC in Sanctuary ceases to exist after the bombs. I guess you could say that it got pushed by the blast into the swamp near Sanctuary, but it seems unlikely considering all the other APCs don't seem to have moved when seen at checkpoints. Put it simply, this adds in all of those missing features around Sanctuary. The author went the extra mile, though, and truly did Sanctuary's bridge justice. He now has made 2 bridges with the original to the left and the main one to the right. Now, thinking about it, how could a car really comfortably get over that wooden bridge with how rickety it looks? There are noticeably many more skeletons and vehicles crowding the bridge. Now, I must warn you that around this time, my PC was having trouble rendering all of the details, so there is quite a bit of flickering in my experience. But thankfully, not an FPS drop. Going over the bridge, there are lots of prefabricated houses with no interior, and a blank billboard greets us before heading into Concord. Concord has a lot of new stuff added to it that I simply can't show all of it, but to sum it up, there is a noticeably bigger military presence, which is to be expected. After all, it is the end of the world, and there should be much more chaos than empty streets with no cars. Using the environment, the author is able to tell us small stories of what may have happened before and after the war. Obviously, there's a raider presence, as there are raiders in Concord when you first explore it, so it only makes sense to see some dead Minutemen lying around and heads on spikes. You can see signs of desperation as many tried to get in the back of pickup trucks in an attempt to evacuate. There's a police barrier where there were people riding, backed up traffic, and also belongings and trash piles everywhere, insinuating looting and more destruction. I also went up the road past one of the 3 tanks, and saw a school bus with kids in it. The bus was smashed into a tree with a soldier hanging out the front window. I also saw a Vault Dweller's skeleton in a pile of trash right near the Concord dump, which is another added feature. He essentially took the empty space and actually turned it into an interesting location. He also added a graveyard to the back of the church, and a park with a friendly wastelander taking refuge. That's going to do it for this episode. I hope this helped any of you looking to make the wasteland feel more immersive. There are several new mod showcases to come, and I will be covering them as this channel grows. Speaking of growing the channel, if you've made it this far, I would humbly appreciate it if you would subscribe. I mentioned it earlier, but you guys crushed it last time, and made my dream of getting 100, and went the extra mile. I hope you join me on this journey on the road to 200. I hope to see you all again soon in the next one. Bye for now, and peace out.